Alrighty, how's everybody doing today? It's Sunday. We got a lot done yesterday, so I went up this morning and took a set of trucks off of the mill, and I'm going to show you what's involved. I already took the couple bolts out. A few were missing, so I'm going to have to buy all new ones here. But when you buy second-hand equipment, this is what you deal with. There we go. And this is like a little hubcap that they put on there. It's going to be messy, but we're not attempting to save anything of the old. So I'm just going to dig out as much of this grease as I can to find the cotter key, and it doesn't even look like there was one in here. So you never know what people did with this equipment before you got it. And looks like there it is right there. So I got a various amount of different tools here, between little awls and pliers, and doesn't even look like they had the back side that's bent over. So basically, once you get your cotter key out, we'll be replacing all that with brand new. And this might not be big. It's going to come hand tight anyway. And basically just take the nut off. And I got the luxuries of a parts washer in my lower shop, so I'll take all the parts that we're keeping, nuts and all, and I'll wash them up very nicely. What a mess. But they really made a heavy-duty wheel. It's hard to believe that you can wear out a set of steel wheels. I mean, they're made out of ductile iron. They're a little bit softer than... and then we basically pull the wheel off. Then you got your inner bearing. And the bearings actually don't look bad, but we bought all brand new. There's no sense of... I mean, you can see what a new bearing looks like versus an old one. And it looks like they had some sort of a dust seal here, which I'm going to try to reuse. It's nothing more than a hunk of aluminum. And just looking at the axles, the good news is there's nothing in here galded. None of the bearings had ever spun, which is a very good thing. So I'm going to get the camera here and give you a little close-up of the new wheel versus the old wheel. And it's almost unbelievable. So if you look at the two, I mean, this thing's tortured. Years and years. Look, the actual V isn't even in the center no more. It literally wore from where it originally started down into there. So you can see that there were some problems going on, and we just want to get things corrected. And then here's basically what the axle setup looks like. Nothing too complicated here, and we're going to give everything a good clean up and an inspection. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to get this thing cleaned up, and when you see me next time, we'll be packing the bearings and get ready to put this back together. All right. It's been about an hour or so since you seen me last time. So I got everything good and cleaned up, and just want to double check, make sure your bearing fits your shaft, there's no slop. And I'm going to use, I always like Lucas products. They're not endorsing this video by any means, but it's called a Red and Tacky. So it's very sticky grease, good for bearings. You want something that's going to really hold tight. They do sell a bearing packer, but it was $35. I don't think I'll ever use it again in my life. So basically, you just want to get the grease up inside of this bearing. So you just basically want this thing immersed. And what's good about the way Edmonston does their wheels is they do have a grease fitting in the wheel itself. So later on, once you put everything back together, I'm going to come back with the grease gun and pump these things absolutely full. But you want to work them in around the roller bearing. Just keep working it in, and you want to make sure there's no air pockets in there. And spin it a little bit, but just keep working it in across the face. And it takes a couple minutes. Because you do not want to run these things dry for any length of time. And you'll be back to square one again. But everything looked like it was in decent shape. So okay, I would say we got the biggest part of that thing absolutely packed. And like I said, just keep working it down and it pushes it in. Then you'll see it coming out across the face of that. So alright, we're going to go ahead and set that one on the inside. Everything seats nice and tight to that dust seal. So go ahead and pack our second bearing. Yeah, I seen a bearing packer. It would have been a nice little gizmo to have, but you use it one time. I'm not in the business of rebuilding sawmill carriages. If I was going to do some more rebuilds on stuff, I might have bought it. But yeah, this is old school here. I mean, today everything on a car is a throwaway bearing. There's not too many vehicles left that has a actual packable bearing. My old farm tractors have them, but I don't think I've ever experienced a bearing that went bad on them. But I've got 16 of these to do. So there's 4 sets of trucks on this mill. And if you do the math, you come up with 16 bearings. And they did a real nice axle on this mill. It's not complicated whatsoever. I'm just going to leave that in there. Now what you want to do before you set this wheel, just with your finger, just get a bunch of grease on the actual race. And I'm trying not to get this thing all slopped up. Just before I set the wheel here, I'm going to just set it. All right. Okay, now I'm going to dare take off my gloves because I know what's going to happen. It's going to slip. So make sure there was you're putting it on the correct way first of all. Now comes the tricky part. Hold this in place. Get your front bearing. Get it on there. And basically, we're going to get our nut started. And I don't have a cotter key. Everything I have is too big. Won't fit, so I got to go up, visit our local Tractor Supply. But basically when you're tightening it down, these should be actually checked for a while till it seats in, but what you don't want is no slop at all in there. And you want to just go more or less hand tight, and then once you find the first hole you can put that cotter key down through, you can go ahead and send it down through. So there's the after, and then all we got to do after I put the cotter key on, put the little hubcap back on, and then like I said, there's a Zerk here. We can pump this full of grease. This whole thing will totally fill up with grease when you pump it full, and that'll give that thing just that much more grease. So alrighty, I'm going to get the other side done here, and then we'll get this back up on the mill, and then tomorrow we're going to start cutting the track loose and start putting a new V-rail on, and hopefully by the end of the week we are sawing with this mill again with great accuracy. So I'll talk to you here in a short amount of time. Alrighty, we got one set completed. Took a little while. One thing to note, if you are changing your wheels on your sawmill, and you have this type of axle that has an adjustable bracket here, what this does is this allows you to adjust your wheels to the captive side of the carriage. So what I would recommend is take this completely apart here, get everything nice and free, so the lock nut, everything works correctly, so you're not underneath there with a breaker bar and everything else trying to get that to move, because this will give you your final adjustment in order to get your carriage absolutely perfect on that track. So, I mean, you can see brand new V versus a completely wore out one. The back wheel, this is the side that's away from the saw blade. This wheel right here ends up to be 7 inches in diameter. The new wheels are 8 inches in diameter, and this was all due to wear, because this is down to paper thin edge on there, and I don't think them wheels were ever changed since this mill was brand new. So everything looks to be good, but you want to check your axles out. You want to make sure everything is very true, because this is just as important as anything on your mill. If your carriage wheels and everything's out, you're going to be sawing some very bad lumber. So well, tomorrow we will be up at the mill, and we will be cutting the track loose and getting all that ground flat and getting the new angle arm ready to go down. So hope everybody enjoyed this video, putting the bearings and wheels on. And I got 3 more sets to go, and we will talk to you tomorrow. This will be it for this video. Bye-bye.